let's talk about another team that has a new face. Maybe not as big of a face as Sabonis or Tyrese Haliburton, but our Toronto Raptors brought in Thad Young.
Young.
And yeah, and he's been good. I mean, I don't know if they've won since they got him because they were on a 7-game winning streak and then they lost the next two.
Yeah.
But I liked how he's looked so far. Just typical, versatile, hardworking Thad Young, really good at rebounding and just doing his thing. So where do you think he fits into this rotation? Is he going to be like, when come playoff time, is he ahead of Chris Boucher? Is he where is he in this rotation? Is he this straight up 6-man or what role?
I think he's gonna get that 6-man role. I think he's gonna get minutes over Birch, over Boucher, all that stuff, just because he's so solid at everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like Birch is great at running to the rim, rebounding, team defense, energy. Same with Precious is kind of the exact same, with like to a lesser extent. And then Boucher kind of provides you that little more spacing and a little more block shots and a little more high intensity play, stuff like that. Whereas Thad Young's someone who could do a little bit of everything. Could shoot the ball a little bit, could play a little bit decent, defense, could switch a little bit, could rebound a little bit, could play make a little bit. You know what I mean? He's just like a combination of all like 3 of our bench players combined. Obviously not as good as probably a shooter as Boucher, probably not as good as a rebounder as Birch, but he's a better, you know what I mean? Like he's better at like combined overall, right?
Yeah.
So that's just going to provide more versatility for the offense. And we've seen it. We've seen when that Fred VanVleet couldn't play that second game, Birch started, but we've seen Thad Young get heavy minutes, and you've seen them run like a team of like Pascal, Scottie Barnes, Thad Young, OG, and Gary Trent Jr. And like they're just switching everything besides Gary Trent.
Mm-hmm.
They're just switching everything, rotating, and it's just hard for the team to match up against, right? The other teams. And I think once he learns the playbook, once he gets more accustomed to our offense, which I think this All-Star break is going to be huge. I think the next time we see him, he's going to be a lot better than he was the last 2 games. I think we could see the reason why this trade happened and the reason why we moved down like 15 spots in the draft. Mm-hmm. This guy is an elite player. He is one of the best bench players for the last 2 seasons. And I think he's going to show that again.
Yeah. Through 2 games, what I've noticed so far is he just knows where to be. Just like even like defensive rebounding, offensive rebounding, just like even like running pick and roll and stuff. He just knows where to be. And then, like you said, like if someone asked me like what is Thad Young's best attribute, I would be like, I don't know. Like he's not really elite at anything, but he's good enough at everything that when you put him in there, you don't lose anything from your lineup. You don't really lose spacing. You don't really lose defense. You don't lose. I mean, the Raptors aren't the best rebounding team at center anyway, so you don't really lose anything at center for rebounding. And like you said, like you can run out that lineup where you can literally switch everything. Like you can let Fred VanVleet take a break and run a lineup of Scottie at point guard if you wanted to, or Pascal, because Pascal has basically been point guard number 2 this year. OG, Thad Young, and Gary Trent Jr. Those, like you said, those guys are all 6'5" and up, between 6'5" and 6'9", and like that is outside of Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic, which team can they not give a really hard time to? Like I'm talking like in the playoffs. So if Thad Young is going to be playing heavy minutes in the playoffs, I expect.
Yeah, and like that's the kind of issue with the Raptors is 2 of the teams that kind of play in the Eastern Conference inevitably has those players. That's Sixers with Joel Embiid or the Bucks with Giannis. So you want to avoid those 2 guys because they could cause a lot of trouble. But at the end of the day, we've seen them play against each other and they cause each other problems. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're going to cause problems to everyone. Like Embiid dropped 42 on Giannis, the defensive player of the year 2 times, who we consider one of the best players. Giannis dropped 32 and 15 on Embiid, who's probably like one of the front runners for MVP and defensive player of the year this year. You know what I mean? They cause trouble to everyone. So I think if you can't focus too heavy on those anomalies, those MVP candidates, because they do it to everyone. And I think the Raptors know they're building something right and doing something right. Because if you talk to any player that's ever been interviewed about the Raptors, they say, "Oh man, it's tough to play against them."
Yes,
that's all they say. Like the length, the switchability, and all the stuff that they're doing, it's tough to play against. And it's good to hear because come playoff time, you're gonna have to have these tough matchups because the East is stacked. Like besides the Cavs, who's probably the first easiest matchup in the 1 to 4 seed, you're gonna play what Giannis and the Bucks, the 76ers, or the Bulls, like it's gonna be a tough who you replay. And the Raptors are a very exciting team that could potentially upset one of those guys.
Yeah, I think that this is some of the most parity I've ever seen in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy because like I feel the play-in is going to be so interesting this year in the East because like if like winning that
Kevin
17,
Durant.
yeah, Kevin, yeah, like, I know, but even outside of that, like the last couple of years, like winning that 17, it's like okay, great, like now we get to get killed
Swept.
in the first round, like whatever, it doesn't really matter. This year, like you really feel like you could do something if you win that 17
Yeah.
because you could be playing the Bulls. Now the Bulls are awesome, but they're kind of their first year together, and like I don't know if everyone fully thinks they're gonna win a championship this year. So I don't know. But
Yeah.
yeah, the Raptors have always been one of the hardest teams to play against, and that kind of thing travels in the playoffs. Like even if you're not hot offensively, if you're just one of those teams that's annoying to play against, and Thad Young fits perfectly into that mold. Yeah, like that's what we want.
And if like let's say we win the 7 seed, and Kevin Durant gets the 8 seed, Kevin Durant and the Nets, and
Mhm.
then we play the Bulls, the first round matchup. I'm not like super negative
Yeah,
about that. Like I think
yeah,
we have
me
a
neither.
chance at
Yeah,
winning that. Like I think like
yeah,
for VanVleet, his lockup defense on Zach LaVine, Gary Trent Jr.'s defense on Zach LaVine, then OG just guarding DeMar DeRozan. Then I think we done a solid job on Vucevic, like the switchability, Pascal Siakam, and then us just running out. Obviously, they have
yeah,
great defenders too, and Lonzo Caruso coming back, and their defense is going to get a lot better, and their offense is pretty amazing with DeMar. But like I'm saying, we have a chance. Like we have a good scheme, we have a good switch, everything. We have a good we have a chance against them, and that'll be a very fun matchup. I know like there'll be a lot of DeMar DeRozan Raptors jerseys. I think
oh
he's
yeah.
one of the most sold jerseys. But yeah, it'll be a good fun matchup to see.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here so you never miss the best clips from Stretch the Floor. Hit the links in the description below to find us on all podcast platforms and follow us on Instagram.